Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to do my first tutorial on my new Ricoma embroidery machine. I will start by telling you I am super excited about this machine. I have had so much fun. But for today's technique that I'm going to teach you, you can do this on any embroidery machine. I am loving this one. If you're interested in the machine I have the EM1010. It's linked in the description below the video. And they do have financing if it's something you're at. But if you're not there yet, go ahead and watch this video. You can totally do this project on your own machine. But I love to think of ways that you might not traditionally think of using different items, whether it be your Cricut or your Silhouette or your embroidery machine or your Glowforge or whatever. I love to try to think of ways that you may not think of right out of the chute. So this is what I came up with. I took regular marine vinyl. This is just plain marine vinyl, very inexpensive. You can get this at Joann's. You can get it at a ton of different vinyl resources. I like to use So Hungry Hippie and My Punk Embroidery. They have some really awesome colors and options available, but I also just bought some at Joann Fabrics. But we're going to take regular marine vinyl and we are going to turn it into this gorgeousness. What a difference. We went from this to that, and just look at how much texture that adds to your project, how much richness it adds to your project. And you can really, if you're selling these, you can really up your price because of the originality and the added texture and the added touch that you're putting to the bag. But we're just going to do this really simple zipper pouch, and I'm actually not even going to create the zipper pouch on the embroidery machine, though you can, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about how to do this part of it. So a super simple video to use your embroidery machine, another way just to give you some ideas and get your mind maybe thinking out of the box. And we're going to flip the camera over and I'm going to walk you through how I did it on this machine. Again, you can do this on your home embroidery machine, whatever you have, you can do this. But if you're interested in this machine, check out that link below the video and let's get started. So we're going to be doing a 7 by 7 inch square of marine vinyl. You can do whatever size square your design is, but you need to make sure that it's smaller than your hoop size, obviously. So the first thing we're going to do is hoop some tearaway stabilizer. So I loosened the bottom, and I'm just going to put this on top and push down. You want to make sure everything stays nice and taut. And you might have to loosen it a little bit more. Do the drum test, make sure it sounds like a drum. It's nice and tight and pushed all the way in. And you're going to tighten your screw back up. Make sure everything is nice and stable. The next thing we're going to do is prepare our marine vinyl just before we go over to the machine. So what I'm going to do, since I'm not hooping the actual vinyl, meaning the vinyl is not inside the hoop, I'm going to do what's called floating. And to do that, I'm going to use this 505 temporary adhesive spray. There are several kinds of different temporary adhesive sprays for fabric. You can use any of them. I prefer this one. So what you want to do is just lightly give this a spray over the back of the marine vinyl. And I prefer not to do it near my hoops, and I prefer not to do it near my mat. But for the sake of the video, I know you're going to want to know how much to put on here. So I'm going to grab a couple pieces of paper just to protect my mat and just to show you. But again, I normally put this over my trash can and spray it there. So it's just a light spray, just like that. So once you have that done, we're ready to go over to the machine. Okay, so the very first thing you need to do is to put your design on the machine. This will stitch designs that live on the machine. So I have taken the design from my computer and put it on a flash drive. The first thing I need to do is unlock the machine. That just lets me get in here and do what I need to do. So you want to unlock it first. And then the next thing you're going to do is click File. Now the design is on my flash drive, so I'm going to click the flash drive. This is showing me all the designs on the flash drive, so I'm going to scroll till I see the one that I saved. You'll have to remember what you called it. And it's right there. So now I go over here and I say I want you to save it from the flash drive to the machine. So it just saved it to the machine. So now I'm going to go back up here to my sources, and now the design is on the machine. So I'm going to click the machine. I'm going to scroll forward and find that design, which will probably be the last one. And I'm going to click OK. And it will put that design on your screen. Now, it's not centered, but it will be. So the next thing we're going to do is go to the next button down. We just did the file button. Now we're going to go to the design button. We're going to click that, and we're going to choose our hoop. So we're going to go to click that. The first, here's the cap hoop that comes with your machine, and then you get hoop A, B, C, and D. Those all come with your machine. We're using the largest hoop that came with our machine, which is the D hoop. So we're just going to click on that and click OK. It's now moving the machine into position for that hoop. And you can see our design is now centered. The next thing we want to do, well, before we go any further, there are some other options here if you want to manipulate your design, you want to rotate it, you want to make it slightly bigger, slightly smaller, duplicate it. We'll get into this in future videos. But for right now, that's all we need for this particular setup. So we're going to click OK. So we're done with that. Hit escape. All right, the next thing that we need to do is go ahead and insert our hoop. So let me back the camera up and show you what happens from here. So here we have our hoop, and you're going to notice on your hoop you have a little side here that has a L. That is the side that goes, or not an L, a U shape. And that is the side that's going to go to your right or by the panel. And there are little clips right here and right here. So all you're going to do is kind of wedge this in between here and here. So you can't tilt it up like this, which is what I tried to do the very first time. You just kind of wedge it in there. And then I just put my finger under here and slip that under that clip. And you're going to do the same thing on this side. And then you just push it forward until those clip right into those little holes. And that tells you it's in place. So the next thing you want to do is set your speed for your project. So this can go up to 1,000 stitches per minute, which is really fast. So I'm going to go over here to the panel, and it's set at 970. If I wanted to change that speed, I could, but I actually, well, I'll just go up. We'll go up to 980. So we're going to stitch this out at 980 stitches per minute. Now, the speed will go up and down accordingly as it needs to trim threads and move around, but that will be the maximum speed that it goes at. The next thing we need to do is choose our colors. Now, this particular design has 4 or 5 steps. I'm actually going to stitch everything in pink, but I do need it to stop for me so that I can put my vinyl on after the placement stitch and let it stitch. So I'm going to go into the colors. These numbers here represent the spools up here. So for instance, number 1 is this thread all the way to the right. Number 10 is this thread all the way to the left. This right is number 1, the furthest left is number 10. So what I'm going to do is tell it that I really want to stitch the final design in color number 4. So I am going to put in the very first box, which is the very first step, which is going to be my placement stitch, I want number 4. But going back to number 4, I wanted to stop after that so that I can put my vinyl down. So I'm going to go back to number 1, and I'm going to click this button, which is the frame out button, which means it's going to push the frame out. So that's going to push the frame out, and stop so that I can put the vinyl down. If you're using a single needle machine and you're doing this, you're just going to make step 1 a different color. And then it's going to stop the machine and then you'll put your color down. So I want everything else to be in the same color. So I'm going to click number 2 and click number 4, which is my pink thread. Number 3, number 4. The 4th step I want in number 4. And the 5th step, and there isn't any 5th step. You see I can't go any further. So we have all of our colors chosen. So we're going to click OK. So the next thing we need to do is make sure that our design is going to fit on the hoop and not hit the edges of the hoop, or it's going to be exactly on your project where you want it to be. So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and lock the machine back up. It's going to make sure that that's what I want to do. And we're going to click this button, which is a trace button. This will trace the outline of where it's going to stitch so that I know it's going to fit in this hoop. It's always going to trace it on needle 1, whether you're doing needle 1 or not. So let's do that. And that looks great. So now we're all done with the console. We're going to click lock. Okay. So once we have traced our design, we're just going to go ahead and click start. Make sure my thread's ready. And here we go. And I'll turn the, I don't know if it'll be better if I turn the light on for you or not. We'll try this way. So I'm going to hit start. Okay, so you can see it made my placement stitch and then it pulled the frame out. So now I'm just going to place my vinyl. Remember we put that sticky on there? Just going to put that down. If you wanted to tape it, you could. If you want to pin it, you can. Totally up to you. And now I just hit start again. It's going to pull the frame back in and start stitching again. Okay, I'm going to pause the video here. If you're interested in how to assemble a basic zipper pouch, you can stay tuned and I will walk you through where to take it from here. But other than that, you've got the idea of how to create patterned vinyl. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I think it's a really fun way to utilize your embroidery machine to create some very unique and very cool looking faux leather cork. You can do this on fabric, whatever you need, just to add some texture and step up your projects a little bit. Here is one I did actually last year, and for this one I used my single needle. So you can do this no matter what embroidery machine you have, but I am enjoying the Ricoma EM1010, and again, I have that linked in the description below if you'd like to know more about this machine. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you decide to create some of these projects, please tag me on social media. I love it when I see that you are inspired to create some of your own projects using the methods that you learn in my tutorials. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, never stop making. See you guys. Bye-bye. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that or not, but here is our now patterned vinyl, and it is so gorgeous. You can really see it on the tearaway. So of course, all you're going to do now is unhoop it. Get our hoop out of our way. And this is tearaway stabilizer, so we can literally just tear it away. Get that out of our way. And now I'm just going to cut just slightly outside of those edges, maybe 1/8 of an inch, whatever you feel comfortable with. I just want to make sure that I keep everything intact for now. So what I'm actually going to do is literally just cut this in half to make 2 different sizes. Now you could just make 2 different panels, whatever you wanted, but since this is going to get sewn into the seam, I'm not really concerned about it. So again, this was, my finished design is 6 inches. I thought I did a 7, I did a 6. So 3 inches is going to be the center. So I am going to cut this the 3-inch mark. I'm just using my ruler as a guideline. 1, 2, 3, which leaves 1, 2, 3. Make sure we're in the center. And I totally moved my ruler a little bit, but now you can see I have 2 different designs for the front and the back of my bag. And it doesn't look like I did a very good job hitting the center. So let me even those up. All right, so now I have 2 panels that are symmetrical. So the next thing I'm going to do is cut 2 more pieces of fabric to 6 inches wide by whatever I want the rest of my bag to be. So you could make this, if you want this to be the top of your bag, and then you could do another 4 inches down here if you want it to be rectangular, if you want it to be more square, whatever you want to do, this is your bag. But I think I'm going to cut one to 6 by 2.5. So now I've cut 2 pieces of fabric, 2.5 by 6, and then I have these 2 panels. So the next thing I'm going to do is just put pretty side to pretty side. And I'll probably give that a press first. And then go ahead and give this a stitch at 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right, so once you've stitched those together, you're just going to push it up. And then I'm just going to give it a top stitch right along that fabric. I'm going to put the fabric on the top, the leather on the bottom. If you wanted to do it this way, totally an option. That's up to you. But I'm going to put it on the top, so I'm going to stitch right across here and there. So it looks like that. You can see I put a top stitch right there. So all we're going to do is square everything up. If you've cut anything a little wonky, now's the time to fix it. So I'm actually just going to trim off a little bit of edging there. And the same on this one. Once you have your pieces trimmed up, go ahead and measure them and then cut 2 more pieces of fabric that's going to be your lining that exactly matches the size that you're now at. Since this is totally customizable, everybody's is going to be a little bit different, but I wanted to show you how to start from scratch and create your own size of a bag. So for instance, mine is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So mine are 5 by 6. So I'm going to cut 2 more pieces of fabric to be my lining, cut to 5 by 6. Once you have your 2 fabric pieces for your lining cut, the next thing we're going to do is I just am going to add a couple of pieces of fusible fleece to the back of the fabric and the leather. And that's just going to give us a little bit of stabilization, a little bit of structure to our bag. So all I'm going to do is cut it 1/2 inch shorter lengthwise, which mine is 6 inches. So I'm going to cut it to 5.5 by, we are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4.5. So 5.5 by 4.5. And I'm going to put a piece of fusible fleece on the back of this. So now we've got our 2 pieces of our outer fabric, our 2 pieces of our lining. They're cut to the exact same size. We've put some fusible fleece on the back of this just to give it a little bit of structure on that fabric side. Looks like I need to heat mine a little bit better. But now we need to get our zipper ready. So you can see I have stitched the end of my zipper. It's way longer than I need. So I've stitched the end of it closed just past those zipper stops. So the first thing I'm going to do is trim that part off. So now I don't have to worry about my zipper coming apart. So however long your bag was, that's how long you want your zipper to be. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can mark it with your fabric marker. Take it over to your sewing machine and then stitch it closed just inside of that mark towards the zipper stop, just to make sure that you don't accidentally pull your zipper pull off once you cut this. You can see I've done that. So now we're just going to cut the rest of that zipper off right on our mark. And now we're ready to start assembly of the bag. Super easy. We're just doing a very basic zipper pouch. You guys can do this without my help, I'm sure. All right, so now we need to install our zipper, and I like to use double-sided adhesive. You can use pens, clips, whatever you want. I'm just trying to keep this super, super beginner friendly and simple. So I'm going to take the double-sided tape and put this right down on the top of my fabric. If you are new to zippers, I highly recommend using the double-sided tape. It just is the way I learned. It's super easy. You can absolutely pin it into place, clip it into place, whatever works for you. So you're just going to remove that paper. Again, we have the zipper pull going on the left. I'm just going to put this face down and line that up with the top of the fabric. Might want to unzip that zipper now. You've got it oriented so that you get a nice straight line. Bada bing, bada boom. We're going to put another piece of tape on the back of the zipper. Right up here. Peel off that covering. Take one of our lining pieces, face down, and line that up so that we have a sandwich going on here. Just lining that right up with the edge. So it should look like this if you open it up. Your zipper's sandwiched in there just like that. So now we're going to take it to a sewing machine and sew right along this edge to secure that zipper. As you get down about halfway, I would stop with your needle down, open up your sandwich and pull your zipper to the other end, and then close it back up and keep on stitching down the edge. That'll keep you from getting that sway as you come to the zipper. But I like to put it down here to get started. So about halfway, stop, pull the zipper up, make sure their needle's down so that you don't lose your placement. So go ahead and stitch that into place. When you're done, it's going to look like that. I'm sure you guys know where we're going here. We're going to lift it up. We're going to push this down so that we have a nice flat seam. And we're going to top stitch right along this edge on the fabric side. Now it looks like this, so we are going to repeat the process. I'm going to open my zipper just so that I can have access to this other end. This is face up. I'm going to put my tape on the other side of the zipper, right along the edge of the zipper. Press it down. Remove the backing. All right, now we're going to take our other outer piece, put it face down, line that edge up with the zipper. Want to make sure that your edges are lined up of your fabric. All right, let's add another piece. So we're going to take this sandwich, we're going to turn it over. I'm going to put some more tape back here. Open it, take your other lining piece face down, so lining to lining. Line that up. Super easy. So now you're going to take that over to the sewing machine and you're going to stitch right down this side to secure that zipper in place. Again, stop halfway through and move your zipper pull. It's down here right now. We're going to move it to the other end once we're about halfway down. So it looks like this. Now we've got both sides top stitch. And again, the purpose of this tutorial is not the actual bag. The purpose of the tutorial is to show you the idea of using your embroidery machine to create some really cool personalized faux leather. So at this point, what we're going to do is just unzip this most of the way, 3/4 of the way. We're going to pull our outer fabrics up, pinch them together, let the linings fall together. And the first thing you're going to do is grab the sides and match up where that leather and the fabric meet. Make sure those meet and clip it, turn it over. Same thing on this side, matching up that seam. And then we're going to match the bottom. Bada bing, bada boom. On the lining side, you want to open it up and you're going to push the zipper teeth towards the lining side. So I'm pushing those teeth and the zipper's folding so that the teeth are sticking towards the lining side. And then that will automatically line all that up for you. You can see where your outer fabrics come together. That should all line up very neatly. So again, push those teeth towards that way so that the zipper is folding. The mountain of the zipper is on this side. And then clip that into place. Turn it over. Same thing on this side. Pushing the mountain of the zipper towards the lining this way. And then go ahead and finish clipping. And I bet you can guess we are going to mark an opening to turn this right side out, and you can do it on the side if you want. You can do it on the bottom. I'm just going to do it on the bottom since you guys know how to do this part. We're just going to mark a spot. I did 2.5 inches. It doesn't have to be quite that big. You could do 2 inches, but I'm just making 2 marks. We're going to start sewing at 1 mark. So all the way around, back up, and stop right here, leaving this space open. I like to use about 1/4 inch. You can use whatever you're comfortable with. Just be consistent all the way around. And keep in mind when you go over your zipper, I like to backstitch a couple of times when I do this method because that's going to be your zipper stop. So again, we're going to start here, go all the way around, backstitch, keep going, backstitch, keep going, and stop. Don't sew between the lines. So now you can see I've sewn all the way around. We're going to clip our corners, making sure we don't clip too close to our stitching, but get rid of that bulk. We're going to reach inside this hole, and because we left that zipper open, we can turn this right side out. Now the leather is a little bit harder to turn out, so take your time. But it's doable. All right, I'm going to push your corners out. I'm going to grab my bone folder. I'm just going to reach inside, go down in that corner, and really push those leather corners out. Faux leather, or somebody corrects me. Push that out, go up in your lining, get those corners pushed out. All right, so now you have this raw edge in your lining. I've got some strings there. You just want, if you kind of just pull on it, it will naturally kind of fold in on itself. But if it doesn't, just help it along a little. I'm going to press it, and then I'm just going to stitch across that lining to secure that opening. So we've stitched that closed, so now I'm just going to tuck that back inside, just like so. And there you have it. And you can see how it creates so much more texture, so much more interest than this plain piece of vinyl would have been on the bottom of this. I love it. So this is a really easy way to step up your projects from using just a plain marine vinyl to a wow factor, something that looks very, very expensive and really adds a lot of texture to your projects, a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I think it's a really fun way to utilize your embroidery machine to create some very unique and very cool looking faux leather cork. You can do this on fabric, whatever you need, just to add some texture and step up your projects a little bit. Here is one I did actually last year, and for this one I used my single needle. So you can do this no matter what embroidery machine you have, but I am enjoying the Ricoma EM1010, and again, I have that linked in the description below if you'd like to know more about this machine. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you decide to create some of these projects, please tag me on social media. I love it when I see that you are inspired to create some of your own projects using the methods that you learn in my tutorials. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, never stop making. See you guys. Bye-bye.